Tonight, we turn our gaze to the hidden world of ancient Egypt's royal birthing chambers, where faith and medicine intertwined under the watchful eyes of gods and midwives. Imagine flickering oil lamps casting gentle shadows on limestone walls as skilled women, guardians of life, guided royal mothers through birth's most sacred rite. Thoughtful. Together, we'll uncover whispered incantations, secret preparations, and the quiet courage that ensured a dynasty's next generation. Now, settle back, allow the rhythms of history to cradle you, and let your mind drift into the secrets of Egypt's royal midwives.
The first pale light of morning stretches across the broad waters of the Nile, turning the river's surface to liquid gold. In the heart of Thebes, temple priests and acolytes gather at the temple of Isis, their sandals against the cool limestone courtyard. Today, beneath a sky painted with rosy dawn, they will call upon the kingdom's most revered midwife to serve at the royal birth chamber. Word spreads through the alabaster halls and shaded colonnades. The queen's labor begins at last. A hush falls as the chief priest steps forward, voice low and resonant, reciting ancient hymns that praise the life-giving powers of Isis and Hathor. Incense coils upward in pale spirals, carrying prayers to the pantheon. From the shadowed corridor emerges Nefret-Deshret, the chosen midwife, her bearing dignified yet gentle. Draped in a simple white linen kilt, she carries no ornamental scepter. Her authority comes from decades of guiding mothers through the mystery of birth. Lotus petals woven into her braided hair lend a soft fragrance, and small amulets of bronze and ivory, gifts from grateful families, cling at her waist. She approaches the central dais where the priests stand, palms open and steady. In a single ceremonial motion, the chief priest places a ring of papyrus around her feet, symbolizing her bond with the river's eternal cycle of life. Nefret-Deshret inclines her head, accepting the sacred mantle. As the final notes of the hymn fade, she steps forward into the birthing suite, tending first to the altar of protective deities. Her voice, measured and calm, joins a rising chorus of whispered chants. Thus begins her vigil, a blend of prayer, science, and unwavering compassion, ensuring that royal bloodline and divine blessing flow together in the newborn's first breath. Before the queen's labor truly begins, a silent flurry of preparation unfolds in the hidden alcoves of the royal birthing suite. Here, midwives and their apprentices assemble the indispensable implements, lengths of finely woven linen, crisp and cool against the skin, and papyrus scrolls inked with age-old incantations. Every thread and glyph carries meaning. Each fold of linen must support the mother's body, and every line of hieroglyphic prayer must fortify her spirit. At a low wooden table, assistants gently unfold stacks of pristine linen sheets, inspecting each for tears or blemishes. These linens, harvested from flax fields along the Nile and bleached by the desert sun, will swaddle both mother and child, their soft fibers offering comfort and hygiene. Nearby, another apprentice lays out clay jars overflowing with herbal poultices, their contents labeled in meticulous hieroglyphs: chamomile for soothing cramps, myrrh for cleansing, and honey-warmed mandrake to ease contractions. In a quiet corner, the chief midwife, Nefret-Deshret, unrolls a papyrus scroll, its fragile surface etched with the precise sequence of hymns and protective spells. By torchlight, she murmurs each line, committing it to memory as apprentices copy the inked symbols onto fresh sheets. These prayers, once spoken, are believed to call upon Hathor's gentle power, guiding the newborn safely into the world. Under Nefret-Deshret's watchful eye, every tool is positioned with purpose: a polished alabaster bowl for sacred water, a reed basket of lotus petals for blessings, and, discreetly sealed in a reed sheath, a thin obsidian blade reserved for last resort interventions. Though these implements appear simple, they represent centuries of accumulated wisdom, an alchemy of medicine, ritual, and devotion that has safeguarded Egypt's bloodline since time immemorial. As the final linen is laid and the scroll rolled back, the birthing chamber stands ready, its sacred tools awaiting the moment when life will emerge anew. As dusk descends and shadows lengthen along the temple walls, the birthing chamber shifts from daylight's clarity into a realm of flickering torchlight and hushed whispers. In this liminal hour, the queen, her robe slightly damp with perspiration, lies upon the low bed of rush mats, breathing deeply as her first contractions surge. Around her, the midwives move with practiced calm, each gesture deliberate yet tender. At the heart of their ritual lies the power of the spoken word. Nefret-Deshret raises her voice in a soft, melodic chant, invoking Hathor, the celestial mother, to lend her compassion and ease each pang. Apprentices echo her tone, weaving a tapestry of sound that fills the chamber with gentle resonance. The words, inscribed hours earlier on papyrus, describe the Nile's life-giving waters and the steady embrace of the earth goddess. Each syllable is drawn out, elongated, as if stretching time itself to soothe both body and spirit. Intermittently, a soft drumbeat joins the chorus, a small hand drum tapped against linen-wrapped thighs, maintaining a steady rhythm to guide the queen's breathing. The midwives sprinkle lotus petals into a shallow alabaster bowl of water, releasing their floral aroma into the air. The queen inhales, and for a moment, the pain subsides beneath waves of calm. Through this melding of sound, scent, and movement, the birthing chamber becomes a sanctuary, an otherworldly space where ancient deities and human hands collaborate. Under this protective veil, the queen feels supported, her fears assuaged by communal strength. As torchlight plays upon painted reliefs of protective goddesses, the sacred incantations continue, their gentle power carrying mother and child ever closer to the moment of birth. Beyond the hushed ritual of preparations lies the heart of the palace, the royal birth suite. Concealed behind ornate cedar doors, this chamber is both sanctuary and stage, its design honed across generations to cradle life's most potent miracle. The walls, hewn from pale limestone, bear painted reliefs of lotus blooms and protective deities, Hathor in her bovine form, Taweret with her soothing presence, each image a silent guardian. Along one side stands a carved bench draped in soft rush mats and layered linen cushions. Opposite, a low stone pedestal supports alabaster jars of sacred water and oils. In the center rests the birth stool, its frame of ebony and olive wood inlaid with copper, a simple yet ingenious seat crafted to harness gravity's aid. As dawn's first rays filter through high lattice-patterned windows, the chamber awakens in muted gold. Nefret-Deshret steps inside. Inhale the faint aroma of frankincense and chamomile. Apprentices light oil lamps in alabaster sconces, casting dancing shadows that accentuate the painted hieroglyphs above the door. A hush falls as the queen is carried in on a silken litter, attendants pausing at the threshold to place offerings of fresh figs and barley cakes on a low table, tokens of gratitude to the gods for their favor. The midwives move swiftly. One smooths linen over the rush mats, another arranges pillows at precise angles to support the queen's back and hips. The birth stool seat is tested, its woven rush tightened until it yields just enough for comfort while remaining firm. Nefret-Deshret traces a finger along the copper inlay, anointing it with a drop of perfumed oil to welcome mother and child. Each object in the suite holds purpose. The cushions for ease, the jars for healing, the stool for transition. In this hallowed space, every detail converges, preparing the body and spirit for the moment when new life will cross the threshold between worlds.
A soft murmur ripples through the corridors as the queen's litter approaches the birth suite. Draped in layers of sheer linen, her form is carried aloft on a gilded palanquin by 4 loyal attendants whose steps fall in measured cadence. Each turn of their feet echoes in the vaulted hallway, heralding the imminent miracle within. Inside the chamber, Nefret-Deshret stands ready, heart steady and mind clear, for this is the moment she has long awaited. As the silken curtains of the litter part, warm torchlight reveals the queen's pale, composed face. Her hair is unbound, cascading over her shoulders in dark waves, and a delicate gold diadem, gifted by Hathor herself, is slid back onto her brow. Though exhaustion tugs at her limbs, there is an unmistakable regal grace in her posture. The courtiers present offerings, bowls of sweet figs, wheels of barley cakes, and vials of perfumed oil. These tokens, both sustenance and devotion, are placed upon a low alabaster table beside the rushmat bed. Nefret-Deshret moves with practiced gentleness. She kneels to wash the queen's feet in cool Nile water, her hands guiding each movement as she murmurs a blessing to Sekhmet, protector of mothers. Next, she anoints the queen's temples and throat with a fragrant blend of myrrh and frankincense, massaging the oils into the skin to calm nerves and strengthen spirit. Attendants adjust layers of linen pillows beneath the queen's back and hips, creating a supportive nest that will ease the labor's progression. Silence envelops the room as the queen settles onto the rush mats. Apprentices stand by with bowls of chamomile tea, steam curling in delicate spirals. Outside, the distant toll of a temple bell marks the hour, an ancient reminder of time's passage. Yet here, time seems to pause. In this sacred space, every gesture is deliberate, every tool impeccably arranged, and every prayer spoken with unwavering faith. As the queen, preparing for the first contraction, Nefret-Deshret clasps her hand and offers a final word of reassurance. You are not alone. And before the true labor begins, a sacred purification ritual readies both mother and chamber. At one side of the birth suite, a low stone basin carved with lotus and papyrus motifs is filled from a bronze ewer of freshly drawn Nile water. This water, believed to carry the river's life force, is consecrated by temple priests at dawn, before being stored in alabaster jars. As Nefret-Deshret approaches, apprentices kneel to open clay pots of perfumed oils and dried petals. The queen, seated upon layered cushions, closes her eyes in anticipation, her breath slowing. Nefret-Deshret dips her fingers into the cool water, her movements deliberate and reverent. First she splashes the queen's hands, then her feet, Wugur Sheon, a blessing to Sekhmet, protector of mothers in travail. The sound of water droplets echoes softly in the limestone chamber. An apprentice releases handfuls of lavender-like linaloe petals into the basin, colouring the water pale purple and releasing an uplifting aroma. Another drizzles a blend of honey and myrrh oil over the mother's shoulders, gently massaging it into her skin to cleanse and nourish. With each touch, the queen's tension melts, shoulders relax, eyes unfurl. The cleansing isn't merely physical, it symbolizes washing away fear and pain, inviting protective deities to dwell within. After the bath, Nefret-Deshret wraps the queen's limbs in fresh, dry linen, the fabric cool and comforting against warmed skin. Apprentices fan the mother with palm frond fans, circulating the fragrant steam as torchlight flickers. Throughout the ritual, soft murmurs of prayer continue, weaving water, scent, and touch into a holistic preparation. This moment of calm gives the queen strength for the trials ahead. As the basin is cleared and fresh oils are sealed away, the chamber feels charged with gentle power. The midwives and priestesses step back, their work complete. Now, the queen stands, cleansed in body and spirit, poised at the threshold of birth's next phase, ready to invite new life into a world cleansed by water and prayer. Even before the queen's labor intensified, the midwives called upon centuries of botanical wisdom to ease discomfort and guard against infection. In a cool alcove just off the main chamber, rows of clay jars lining low wooden shelves held dried herbs, resins, and roots, each labeled in neat hieroglyphs. Nefret-Deshret moved among them with assured grace, selecting small quantities of blue lotus petals to soothe the nerves, ground fennel seeds to strengthen the womb, and crushed cinnamon to warm the body. Apprentices watched intently, their fingers stained with pigment from earlier scrollwork. Under torchlight, the midwives brewed a fragrant decoction, petals and seeds steeped in warm Nile water, their essences mingling in a clay bowl. As the queen inhaled its gentle steam, tension in her shoulders softened. Nearby, a thicker poultice of crushed myrrh and honey was kneaded into a paste. Its antiseptic properties were prized for preventing infection around the perineum. With careful hands, Nefret-Deshret applied the warm poultice, at the queen's hip crease, massaging in slow, circular motions to promote circulation and ease the passage of the child. Beyond physical relief, these potions carried sacred associations. Blue lotus was sacred to Nefret-Deshret, god of healing, and its aroma was believed to connect mother and child to divine strength. Fennel, sacred to Isis, symbolized fertility and protection. As each herb's name was spoken, Nepet for blue lotus, Kemon for fennel, the midwives recited blessings, weaving ritual into remedy. Apprentices repeated the incantation softly, reinforcing their lessons in both medicine and magic. By dawn's edge, when contractions grew stronger, the queen's face bore a serene expression, her fear held at bay by the combined gifts of plant and prayer. The birthing chamber, redolent with herbal steam, felt transformed, a living apothecary where nature's bounty served both body and soul. As preparation gave way to the strain of labor, the midwives stood ready, their hands infused with the power of Egypt's ancient pharmacopoeia. As labor deepens and the queen's breaths grow measured, the midwives reinforce the chamber's spiritual defenses. Alongside the birth stool and linens, small statues of protective deities stand sentinel. Taweret, the hippo-headed goddess of childbirth, and Bes, the dwarf guardian who wards off malevolent spirits. These figures, crafted from ivory and faience, gleam softly in torchlight, their serene visages a silent promise of safety. Nefret-Deshret lifts the largest statuette, the pregnant Taweret, placing her at the queen's right hand. Legend holds that Taweret's fierce compassion shields mother and child, her rounded belly mirroring that of the expectant queen. At the head of the bed, she positions Bes, his protruding tongue and leonine mane meant to frighten away demons. Apprentices arrange smaller amulets, winged scarabs, Anubis in his jackal form, around the pillows and draped linens, each charm keyed to a specific aspect of protection. Once the guardians are in place, Nefret-Deshret murmurs their names, anointing each statuette with drops of scented oil. With every invocation, solemnly, Taweret, hear our plea. Bes, stand guard. The chamber fills with a subtle resonance, as if divine presence itself has settled into the stone walls. The queen, eyes closed against a contraction, feels a gentle reassurance in the deity's watchful gaze. These rituals are more than ceremony. They reflect millennia of belief that life's threshold must be crossed under spiritual care. While incense smoke curls in patterned spirals and each statue catches the light, human hands remain ever vigilant. Apprentices exchange solemn glances, aware that the deity's protection enhances, but cannot replace, the skill and compassion that midwives bring. In this sacred alliance of art, ritual, and medicine, the queen prepares to meet her child, cradled by both mortal hands and divine guardian. As the queen's labor enters its most intense phase, attention turns to the ingenious birthing stool, a humble yet vital instrument of delivery. Crafted from ebony and olive wood, its low, sturdy frame is inlaid with copper accents that catch torchlight, while the woven rush seat molds gently to the body. In this position, the queen can harness the pull of gravity, opening her pelvis and easing the infant's descent. Nefret-Deshret directs the attendants to help the queen to her feet. With unwavering gentleness, they guide her toward the stool, supporting her under each arm. The queen's white linen shift is loosened at the waist, and the rush seat awaits beneath her. As she perches upon its woven surface, her knees splay to the sides, feet resting on small stone footrests carved into the floor. The midwives adjust a crescent-shaped cushion behind her back, ensuring she remains securely poised. From this vantage, the queen finds both strength and comfort. Each contraction, though still powerful, becomes more manageable as her body sinks into the seat's cradle. Apprentices fan her gently, circulating cool air over her skin, while a steady drip of infused water, mingled with blue lotus, runs from an alabaster vessel, to keep her hands damp and relaxed. Nefret-Deshret kneels before the stool, observing the queen's posture and whispering encouragement. Open with each breath, let the river guide you. With each exhale, the queen presses against the seat, inviting the baby downward. The stool's design, elevated yet intimate, gives the midwives clear access to support and guide the child's emergence. In this moment, the union of simple engineering and sacred ritual shines brightest. The leather straps that once bound the stool during travel have been removed, revealing its polished surface. As the queen rocks gently with each wave of labor, the birthing stool holds her steadily, transforming pain into purposeful motion. Here, in the hush of the royal suite, the promise of new life draws closer, carried on the synergy of gravity, design, and compassionate care. In the hushed stillness between contractions, a soothing symphony drifts through the birth chamber, its gentle notes weaving calm around the laboring queen. Two musicians, veteran temple minstrels, sit cross-legged on woven mats, each clad in simple white kilts that echo the purity of the sacred space. One cradles a wooden lute, its body polished smooth by years of playing. The other brings a slender flute to her lips, the reed tuned precisely to coax out mellow, lingering tones. As the queen presses her palms against the woven rush of the birth stool, the lute's first low strum resonates against the limestone walls. The midwives pause their movements, aligning each beat of their support, massages, anointings, whispered blessings, to the music's ebb and flow. When the flute's airy trill rises, it seems to carry away tension, guiding the queen's breath in quiet cadence. Apprentices join by tapping soft, round drums wrapped in linen, laying down a heartbeat rhythm that steadies both mother and midwives. This musical ritual is no mere distraction. It recalls the role of sound in ancient medicine. The vibrations are believed to harmonize body and spirit, opening the mother's channels and inviting the newborn's soul to dock with ease. Each melody, composed to honor Hathor's melodic nature, soothes nerves and heightens focus. Musicians glance at midwives for subtle cues, adjusting tempo so the queen's inhalations match each gentle pulse. As torchlight flickers across painted reliefs of dancing deities, the chamber itself feels alive with resonance. The queen's brows unfurl, and even as pain returns, it feels enveloped in a protective soundscape. Nefret-Deshret, standing nearby, offers soft vocal harmonies, ancient hymns layered atop the instruments, her voice a steady beacon. In this interplay of strings, reeds, and voices, the birthing chamber transforms into a living sanctuary where music and medicine converge. Here, amid measured notes and rhythmic drums, the queen finds solace between each surge. The moment approaches when body, soul, and song align, preparing the way for a new life to enter, carried gently on the wings of ancient melody. With the queen settled on the birth stool, Nefret-Deshret and her apprentices turn to the careful art of observation. In ancient Egypt, midwives relied not on instruments, but on intimate knowledge of the body's signals. The queen's breathing pattern, slow, deep inhales followed by speaks volumes about her progress. Nefret-Deshret places a slender reed tube against the queen's chest, listening for the steady rush of heartbeat and lung. This reed stethoscope amplifies subtle sounds, guiding timing for each contraction. Meanwhile, an apprentice palpates the queen's abdomen, noting the baby's position as it presses downward. With each contraction, she records mental tally marks, length, intensity, interval. These observations shape decisions, when to apply herbal fermentations or when to urge the queen to shift weight. In the low light, The midwife's eyes flicker between mother and sacred texts, recalling passages that describe ideal labor patterns. When the queen grimaces, Nefret-Deshret gently cups her hand, encouraging even, measured breaths. A second apprentice cups her ear near the queen's navel to catch the distant thrum of the infant's movements. In moments of doubt, they glance at the inked marks on a small papyrus strip, 5 ticks for strong contractions, 6 for mild rest. Though rudimentary, this system embodies centuries of refinement, an oral tradition rendered tangible through simple tools. As the queen's brow furrows before a surge, the midwives exchange silent cues. One dips a lotus-infused cloth in water, while another readies a bowl of scented oil. Their vigilance transforms the chamber into a living clinic, where every gesture is timed to the rhythm of mother and child. In this realm of quiet focus, the midwife's eyes become instruments themselves, attuned to softness of skin, sheen of sweat, and subtle shifts in posture. Through such unwavering attention, they transform uncertainty into informed care, ensuring that each sign, each breath, guides the queen safely onward. As contractions build, Nefret-Deshret reaches for alabaster jars filled with precious oils, cedar for strength, frankincense for calm, and myrrh for healing. These scents, distilled from distant mountains and trade caravans, carry deep symbolic weight, believed to open the mother's body and spirit to the birthing process. Under flickering torchlight, she lifts the lid of a jar containing golden cedar oil, inhaling its woodsy warmth before dipping her fingertips into the velvety liquid. With a reverent touch, she begins a circular massage around the queen's lower abdomen. Each stroke is practiced and measured, coaxing circulation toward the womb and softening the tissues for easier passage. Apprentices hold bowls of warmed oil, replenishing Nefret-Deshret's supply between rotations. The queen responds with slow exhalations, her body relaxing against the woven seat. At the queen's sides, 2 apprentices prepare small vials of frankincense-infused oil, heating them gently over a clay lamp. When they arrive at her temples and the hollow of her neck, the fragrance rises like incense, weaving tranquility through the chamber. Nefret-Deshret murmurs an invocation to Sekhmet, asking for protective fire to guide the labor. Throughout the ritual, the midwives work in harmony, one applying cedar oil to the queen's thighs, another gently massaging her inner calves to ease tension in the legs. The mingling aromas create a calming atmosphere, masking the metallic scent of sweat and fear. By the time the queen's brow unknits between surges, her limbs feel supported, her spirit buoyed by tactile reassurance. In ancient Egyptian medicine, touch and scent were inseparable. Oils served as conduits for divine favor and physical relief. As each drop of myrrh warms against the queen's skin, it carries prayers for a healthy child and swift recovery. Through this sacred anointing, Nefret-Deshret blends spiritual tradition and therapeutic care, ensuring that body and soul move in concert through birth's greatest trial. In the quiet eye of labor's storm, the queen reaches inward, drawing upon reservoirs of faith. Nefret-Deshret steps back, allowing a sacred moment of solitude as the mother offers her own prayers to Isis and Hathor. The queen's voice is soft but resolute, her words weaving personal pleas for strength, mercy, and protection. She clutches a small lotus bud, her talisman, and presses it to her heart, eyes lifted toward a painted relief of Hathor on the wall. Around her, midwives bow their heads in respectful silence. Even the musicians still their instruments, letting the queen's incantations hang in the torchlit air. In these private words, shared only between mother and goddess, she calls upon ancient lineage. Mother of mothers, grant me your calm. Lady of the West, guide my child's first breath. Each phrase, spoken in melodic ancient Egyptian, is a vow of trust in the divine partnership between mortal and deity. As a contraction grips her, the queen, exhales a final plea, and Nefret-Deshret steps forward with a lotus-infused cloth to wipe her brow. The simple act of touch reaffirms the union of spiritual and physical care. Apprentices pass small droplets of perfumed water for the queen to sip, each taste reinforcing her prayer's potency. These personal rites remind all present that birth is more than physiology. It is a rite of passage, a threshold between worlds. The queen's courage becomes a beacon, bolstering even the most seasoned midwives. When her praying ends, a hush descends, and Nefret-Deshret intones a brief responsive chant, sealing the mother's petitions within the chamber's sacred atmosphere. In this shared silence, the queen prepares to meet her destiny, buoyed by both her own resolve and the compassionate vigilance of those who stand with her. In an era of flourishing trade, ancient Egypt's midwives welcomed innovations from Mesopotamia. Today, woven into royal practice, is the use of a slender bronze birthing knife, an idea carried by merchants along the Levantine corridor. Though employed only in emergencies, its razor-sharp edge promised a precise incision to release life's passage if nature stalled. The blade's origin, Babylonian forges echoing with hammers, speaks of a cross-cultural exchange where knowledge transcends borders. As the queen's contractions waver momentarily, Nefret-Deshret retrieves the knife, sheathed in reed and embossed with protective symbols. She holds it aloft under torchlight, the metal gleaming like liquid copper. Apprentices step back, honoring its potency and the gravity of its potential use. The midwife's hand hovers before the queen's abdomen, ready to intervene only if the child's life or the mother's safety demands it. Yet first, she consults the Scroll of Sal, a Babylonian text translated into Egyptian script, its margins annotated by temple scribes. In its lines, she finds guidance on gentle incisions and cautions on timing. With careful fingers, she unrolls the papyrus, confirming each detail before laying it beside the birth stool. Then, quietly, in a quiet tone, she praises Marduk, whose wisdom forges safe passage. Though the blade remains unused, its presence offers reassurance, a testament to midwifery's evolving craft. It symbolizes a willingness to adapt, honoring both tradition and innovation. As the queen draws a long breath, Nefret-Deshret presses the knife's handle to her palm in a silent vow. Determined, I stand ready. The borrowed brilliance of Mesopotamian metallurgy thus merges with Egyptian ritual, enriching the midwives' repertoire and safeguarding the royal bloodline with every cross-cultural insight. As dawn's first light creeps through lattice windows, the midwives prepare for the moment when secrets must be guarded. Nefret-Deshret calls forth the matron of the royal nursery, a veteran midwife whose grey-streaked hair and lined face speak of decades of service. In a hushed ceremony, the matron swears an oath of silence upon an ivory scarab amulet, its underside carved with the name of Thoth, god of wisdom and record-keeping. The chamber falls into reverent stillness. The matron places her right hand on the scarab, her voice firm yet trembling. By Thoth's wisdom, I vow secrecy, never to reveal the rights of kings, or the knowledge of birth's mysteries to those outside these walls. Apprentices bow their heads, witnessing the solemn vow that binds midwife to crown. This oath ensures that royal births, and any complications, remain shielded from political intrigue and rumor. Once the pledge is spoken, Nefret-Deshret anoints the matron's forehead with a drop of lotus-infused oil, sealing the promise with divine benediction. The ivory scarab is returned to a recessed niche in the birthing suite's entrance, visible only to those sworn to its protection. As torchlight dances on the amulet's polished surface, it seems to hum with silent power. This ritual underscores the midwives' dual role as healers and keepers of state secrets. Their knowledge, from herbal formulas to sacred chants, forms an elite body of wisdom entrusted only to the most loyal. As the matron steps forward to resume her duties, her oath complete, the chamber's atmosphere shifts. Trust, solemn and unbreakable, hangs in the air. In this sanctified space, Midwives stand as guardians of life and legacy, their silence as vital as their skill. At the crescendo of labor, the chamber falls silent save for the queen's. With a final measured push, the newborn emerges into Nefret-Deshret's waiting hands. The air fills with the infant's first, a sacred sound heralding both vulnerability and strength. Apprentices wrap the child swiftly in fine linen, blotting fluids and easing its gasp into steady breath. Onlookers bow heads as the midwife lifts the swaddled bundle toward the carved relief of Hathor, signaling that life's spark is ignited under divine gaze. In a precise ritual, Nefret-Deshret touches the baby's brow with a drop of sacred water from an alabaster bowl, reciting blessings that invoke health and wisdom. The queen's
smile
warms the stone walls. Attendants bring fresh lotus petals and scarab amulets, pressing them gently into the swaddle, symbols of protection and rebirth. As the newborn's cries soften to contented, a temple bell tolls, marking this moment in the royal annals. With solemn grace, the chief priest approaches, inscribing the hour and star position on a thin papyrus strip. This record will join temple archives, ensuring the child's birth aligns with cosmic order. The infant is then presented first to Isis in the form of a small ivory statuette, an offering of gratitude for safe passage. Though the ritual brims with symbolism, its core is simple, celebrating life's beginning. In these first moments, the child is both heir and humble human, cradled by gentle hands and sacred rites. As the queen reaches out, fingers trembling, Nefret-Deshret
whispers,
"Welcome to the light." The chamber's energy shifts from tension to joy, a testament to the midwife's skill and the god's benevolence, woven together in that first cry. Once the child's first cries fade, the focus shifts to nourishing the newborn with nature's earliest gift. In ancient Egypt, breast milk was revered, not only for sustenance, but for its sacred connection between mother and child. Nefret-Deshret supports the queen as she cradles the infant to her breast, offering a bowl of warm herb-infused water, fennel seeds steeped in barley brew to stimulate lactation. Apprentices prepare a small clay cup of barley beer, lightly spiced with anise and honey, known to act as a galactagogue. Nearby, a reed basket holds sprigs of coriander and dill. These will be boiled into a steam bath to ease the queen's swelling breasts. As mother and child settle into a rhythmic embrace, midwives observe latch and positioning, ensuring comfort and effective nursing. Through gentle massage of the queen's breasts with a mixture of castor oil and honey, circulation is promoted and any engorgement eased. Nefret-Deshret, whispering, murmurs a soft chant invoking Isis, patron of mothers, asking her to bless this vital bond. Apprentices fan the mother, circulating fragrant steam, and refill her water vessel to keep her hydrated. These methods, melding herbal remedies with hands-on care, reflect a deep understanding of lactation's challenges. As the infant sucks, gold fillets on its swaddle catch torchlight, symbolizing divine favor upon this sacred union. The queen's eyes close in relief, her brow unfurrowing as milk flows freely. In this intimate ceremony, nourishment becomes nourishment of body and spirit, forging the earliest ties that will shape Egypt's future ruler. On the 6th day after birth, a private ceremony in the palace's inner sanctuary consecrates the newborn's name. The infant, now swaddled in fresh linen adorned with colored threads, rests on a low alabaster pedestal beneath a canopy painted with stars. Attendants present the child to a priestess of Thoth, keeper of sacred words, who carries a carved palm frond stylus and clay tablet. One by one, guests are ushered into the dim hall, senior midwives, the chief priest, and family elders. Each is invited to whisper a blessing, invoking deities tied to the child's fate: Ta for craftsmanship, Mart for balance, and Horus for protection. Their words, inscribed by the priestess onto the clay tablet, bind divine virtues to the royal heir. When all blessings are complete, the prince or princess's true name is revealed in a hushed voice. The air shivers with anticipation as elders utter Amen in unison. With delicate precision, the priestess traces each hieroglyph onto the tablet, sealing the name's power. A final offering of natron-blessed water is sprinkled over the child, symbolizing purification and eternal life. This naming rite, held away from the public gaze, cements the child's identity within both mortal lineage and cosmic order. As the ceremony ends, the infant is carried from the sanctuary to the royal nursery, its first steps into a world shaped by gods and tradition. Through these blessings and the sacred name carved in clay, the child's destiny is inscribed not only in parchment, but in the very fabric of Egypt's future. As the newborn grows, the transition from milk to solids is both a nutritional milestone and a symbol of maturation. In the royal kitchens, master cooks prepare a special pap made from ground emmer wheat, mixed with fig puree and date syrup, ingredients prized for their sweetness and energy. On the 4th month, Nefret-Deshret visits the kitchens to advise on consistency, coarse enough to stimulate chewing muscles, yet smooth for the infant's tender mouth. Clay bowls are filled with the pale, creamy mixture and dusted with powdered cinnamon, an exotic spice that signifies royal indulgence. Attendants fan the bowls to cool the pap before serving, while apprentices hold tiny reed spoons sculpted for the infant's grasp. At the palace breakfast hall, the queen conducts a modest feeding, surrounded by midwives and tutors. The infant's lips part, eyes bright with curiosity, as the first spoonful is offered. Each taste of the fig-sweetened grain evokes soft coos, and the child's small hands explore the spoon's length. Midwives note textures and reactions, ensuring no adverse signs. Once the feeding concludes, attendants present a platter of fresh dates, handpicked from the royal grove, and instruct the infant's nourishment team on introducing one date at a time to test for allergies. This early foray into solid foods honors Egypt's agricultural bounty and underscores the care devoted to the royal line. Through pap and dates, the child learns the flavors of the land that will one day rule its people. As the infant drifts to sleep, bellies full and senses awakened, the midwives smile, knowing they have laid the foundation for a robust future. In Egypt, literacy is both privilege and power, bestowed upon royal heirs from their earliest days. At 5 months, the infant's first lessons begin with sand trays and reed styluses. In a bright nursery alcove overlooking palace gardens, an elderly scribe sets out a shallow wooden tray filled with fine desert sand. Nefret-Deshret stands nearby as the queen settles the infant on her lap, ensuring comfort and gentle focus. The scribe's practice hand draws the simple glyph for mouth arep in the sand, guiding the infant's tiny finger to trace its form. Apprentices, whispering, murmur the glyph's meaning, speech, breath, life, laying the groundwork for both language and identity. Though the child cannot yet form the strokes unaided, the ritual of touching symbols fosters familiarity and curiosity. Between lessons, tutors recite short hymns and proverbs, their voices singing, lilting like lullabies. In the hush, Nefret-Deshret offers the infant a small clay duck figurine, an early toy that doubles as a learning tool, its shape evoking the glyph for duck. This blend of play and pedagogy reflects a philosophy that education begins with sensory engagement and joy. As sand drifts with each traced line, the infant's eyes track the scribe's movements, absorbing form and sound together. The act of inscribing the first glyph marks a threshold from pure physical care to the realm of intellect. In these early teachings, guided by midwives, scribes, and tutors, The royal child is nurtured into a future of wisdom and rule, each grain of sand a letter in Egypt's unfolding story. With the newborn safely swaddled, attention turns to forging lifelong bonds of protection. In a sunlit alcove adjacent to the royal nursery, midwives and artisans collaborate to create tiny amulets, winged scarabs, ankhs, and mini jackals, each charged with sacred spells. Clay molds press soft faience into shapes that glint jade green in torchlight. Once fired, the pieces are glazed and inscribed with hieroglyphs invoking Sekhmet's fierce guardianship and Anubis's watchful presence. Apprentices thread slender cords of braided linen through miniature loops, knotting each with careful precision. As each amulet takes form, Nefret-Deshret recites formulas learned from temple scrolls.
May your heart remain steadfast. May your breath echo the Nile's flow.
The artisans dip charms into perfumed oil, myrrh blended with lotus essence, sealing both scent and spell. The finished pieces are laid on papyrus leaves to dry, then gathered by the chief midwife for the ritual of bestowal. These ward charms, worn by mother and child alike, become enduring talismans against evil eye and illness. Beyond physical protection, the amulets serve as potent symbols of royal identity. A winged scarab etched with the queen's cartouche links mother and heir, a promise that the dynasty's legacy will endure.
As apprentices examine each glaze for imperfections, Nefret-Deshret instructs them in the subtleties of spell etching, how the angle of a line can alter a charm's potency. Through this careful craft, the midwives pass on both technical skill and spiritual insight, ensuring each amulet carries the full weight of Egypt's ancient power. When the ritual hour arrives, the queen and child receive matching charms tied at the wrist and ankle. Their quiet click against linen heralds a bond that will guard them through palace intrigues and desert journeys alike. In these small objects, artistry and incantation converge, reminders that even the smallest token, infused with belief, can shape a lifetime.
In the quiet hours after the royal cradle is placed, Nefret-Deshret gathers her apprentices for an intimate lesson in midwifery's deepest mysteries. Beneath an arched corridor lined with papyrus scroll cases, young women sit on rush mats, papyrus tablets on their laps. Today's lesson delves into the books of Sekhmet, private texts that outline emergency maneuvers and rare herbal cures. Only those sworn to secrecy may glimpse these precious scrolls. Nefret-Deshret unrolls a fresh papyrus, its margins brimming with glyph annotations and tiny ink sketches of uterine positions. As flickering lamp oil casts dancing light, she demonstrates hand placements to correct a breech presentation and explains subtle incantations to ease a stalled labor. Apprentices lean forward, their eyes reflecting both awe and determination. Each technique is practiced on clay models of womb and infant, ensuring precise muscle memory. Between demonstrations, the chief midwife recounts tales of her own trials, the time she saved a princess by improvising a honey mandrake enema, or when a whispered chant halted hemorrhage. These lived stories reinforce that knowledge must marry skill with courage. Apprentices copy every detail onto fresh scrolls, their reeds scratching hieroglyphs through the night. As the session concludes, Nefret-Deshret presents each apprentice with a sealed pouch of rare seeds, coriander for uterine tone, blue lotus for calm, symbols of their progress. The apprentices bow deeply, eyes shining with gratitude and resolve. In passing these secrets, the midwives ensure their sacred art lives on, warding off ignorance and preserving royal bloodlines through generations. Every royal birth must be sewn into the tapestry of history. In a hushed wing of the temple archives, Nefret-Deshret and temple scribes convene to record essential details: hour of birth, mother's condition, deity invoked, and any notable omens. The lead scribe, clad in indigo-dyed linen, smooths fresh papyrus on a carved wooden desk. Ink pots, sepia and ochre sit ready, alongside fine-tipped reed brushes. As the queen's child's name is spoken, Nefret-Deshret recites the precise lineage: parents, grandparents, even regents present at conception rites. Each relation is traced in carefully formed glyphs. The scribe pauses to illustrate a small star beside the birth time, an astronomical flourish denoting a fortuitous omen. Apprentices observe, craning forward to catch every stroke. Nefret-Deshret then dictates any interventions performed: herbal applications, protective rituals, and the potential use of the Mesopotamian knife. These entries ensure future generations can study and refine midwifery techniques. Once complete, the scroll is sealed with a stamp of Hathor's cowhorn emblem and stored in a climate-controlled niche among temple treasures. Though largely administrative, this ritual underscores the midwives' role as both caretakers and chroniclers. Their precise records weave personal triumphs into Egypt's enduring saga, binding family destiny to celestial patterns. As the final glyph is sealed, the room exudes quiet pride. Every birth documented, every brother and sister of the royal line linked through shared ritual and unbroken faith. On the third day post-birth, a cleansing rite purifies both mother and child, symbolically washing away the trials of delivery. In a lofty courtyard lined with alabaster pillars, priests pour warm, perfumed water from bronze ewers into a large stone basin. The scent of myrrh, frankincense, and dried lotus petals mingles in the air. Sunlight filters through lattice screens, throwing geometric patterns across the cool marble floor. The queen, her hair braided with fresh lotus, steps forward, guided by Nefret-Deshret. Draped in a linen shift, she kneels at the basin's edge. Midwives pour water over her feet and hands, an invocation to Sekhmet for continued strength. As the priests, the queen's attendants offer lotus-scented oils for anointing. Each drop symbolizes rebirth, each fold of linen a return to purity. Next, the newborn is gently scooped from its cradle and dipped briefly into the basin. Midwives support its head and limbs, ensuring a brief but sacred immersion. The child's tiny form emerges glistening, wrapped immediately in a fresh linen swaddle. Onlookers bow in respect as a temple bell, echoing the triad of Osiris, Isis, and Horus. This communal bath goes beyond hygiene. It reaffirms the duo's integration into both earthly and divine realms. In the rhythm of water and sayat, the mother releases residual pain, and the child's first world bath echoes the purification of the soul. As the last droplets fall, midwives guide them to shaded alcoves, where soft cushions await, and aromatic smoke continues to cleanse the air. In this pool of ritual, body and spirit emerge renewed, ready to embrace the promise of life's unfolding journey. As twilight falls on the palace grounds, the royal household gathers for a modest feast, celebrating the newborn's safe arrival. Long tables of polished cedar bear platters of date cakes, fig tarts, flatbreads drizzled with honey, and clay jars of sweet barley beer. Oil lamps strung overhead cast a warm glow, and the air hums with soft laughter and grateful hymns. Nefret-Deshret, seated beside the queen and child, offers a heartfelt toast. To life renewed, to lineage unbroken. High priests and palace stewards raise cups of spiced beer, while apprentices present gift scrolls inscribed with blessings and charms. Musicians play gentle lute melodies, underscoring the night's contentment. Throughout the feast, guests share stories of ancestral births, miracles and close calls alike, linking the current triumph to generations past. The queen, seated on a low dais, tastes a bite of fig tart and smiles as the infant coos in her arms. Each flavor, sweet fig, earthy barley, fragrant honey, echoes Egypt's agricultural bounty and divine providence. At the feast's close, Nefret-Deshret distributes small clay cups of balm made from frankincense and myrrh for each guest to anoint their palms, a reminder of the protective rites that guarded the child. Lanterns are lit, and released into the night air, symbolizing prayers ascending to the gods. As the final notes of the lute fade, the gathering disperses quietly, leaving mother, child, and midwives to rest. This banquet of gratitude weaves community and ceremony, transforming private joy into shared legacy. In the sweetness of food and fellowship, the newborn's place in Egypt's grand tapestry is affirmed, and the midwife's role as both caregivers and kinship builders shines brightly for all to behold. In the weeks following the birth, Nefret-Deshret's role evolves beyond delivery to that of trusted counselor. Summoned to the queen's private chambers at dawn, she brings scrolls of dietary protocols, exercise regimens, and rest schedules designed to restore royal strength. The queen reclines on a low dais draped in fine linens. Gold and morning light filters through lattice windows. Each recommendation, fresh goat's milk, gentle hip massages, seated breathing exercises, is rooted in centuries of Egyptian medical and spiritual wisdom. As the queen sips a decoction of barley water infused with mint and honey, Nefret-Deshret unfurls a papyrus chart detailing postpartum rhythms. She advises moderate walks through the courtyard gardens, where the scent of jasmine and pomegranate herald renewal. Apprentices watch as the midwife guides the queen through gentle shoulder stretches, demonstrating how tension in the upper back can impede recovery. Between movements, they pause to anoint wrists with a soothing blend of frankincense and myrrh, reinforcing divine favor with every drop. These sessions are intimate dialogues, mother and midwife collaborating on the queen's renewed vigor. When palace physicians propose more aggressive tonics, Nefret-Deshret negotiates temperance, citing both temple scriptures and the queen's own comfort. Her council shapes royal policy. Soon, similar regimens will be recommended across Egypt's noble households. By dusk, as the queen rises with steadier step, the chamber echoes with quiet gratitude. In this alliance, the midwife transcends simple care. She becomes architect of recovery, weaving ritual, medicine, and personal trust into an enduring bond between healer and sovereign. In the hush of palace corridors, Nefret-Deshret's testimony becomes crucial to safeguarding the heir's legitimacy. Summoned before the council of priests and nobles, she recounts every detail of the birth. Time, complications, divine invocations, her voice steady beneath towering columns. Draped in white linen and scarab-stitched sash, she stands unwavering as nobles and scribes record her words on fresh papyrus. The highest priest, clad in a tall headdress, gestures to a scroll, thoughtful. Did any omen occur at the moment of birth? Nefret-Deshret recalls the soft breeze that fluttered lotus petals, the temple bell's unexpected echo, signs she interprets as divine blessing. In doing so, she quells rumors of irregular birth, reinforcing the child's claim to the throne. Her precise testimony binds royal blood to cosmic order, sealing succession against intrigue. Upon concluding, the council sealed her statement with wafers of natron and pressed a stamp of Hathor's cow horn emblem, symbols that transform her words into unassailable decree. Apprentices behind her bow their heads, aware that her integrity has preserved Egypt's future. Outside the chamber, palace whispers shift from speculation to confidence. The heir is rightful, the midwife's oath upheld. In this coalition of medicine, ritual, and politics, Nefret-Deshret stands as both healer and guardian of dynastic destiny. As dusk yields to starlit silence, Nefret-Deshret leads a solemn night watch by the queen's bedside. In the dim torchlight of the royal suite, midwives take hourly turns checking vital signs, pulse, breathing, and the infant's slumber. Soft chants to Bes, protector of babies, murmur in the background, weaving a lullaby of divine guardianship. Apprentices move with hushed precision, One gently lifts a linen panel to inspect the queen's healing perineum. Another cradles the swaddled infant to ensure its blanket remains snug. A third midwife prepares a calming herbal infusion of blue lotus and chamomile, pouring steaming water into small clay cups. Each sip will soothe restless nerves and maintain hydration through the cool desert night. At the stroke of midnight, Nefret-Deshret performs her own ritual. She anoints the queen's forehead with a dot of myrrh oil, whispering an invocation to Sekhmet for continued protection. The infant, stirred by the motion, is soothed by a whispered lullaby and gently returned to its bassinet. Outside, palace guards patrol in measured steps, but inside, serenity prevails. This vigil blends science, ritual, and unwavering care. The midwives' quiet movements, each step rehearsed by countless nights before, create an atmosphere of trust. As torches gutter and shadows lengthen, the queen drifts into restorative sleep and the infant's breathing steadies. Under Nefret-Deshret's watchful eye, the royal duo remains safe, enveloped by human devotion and ancient prayers until dawn's first light returns. Through caravans and diplomacy, ancient Egypt absorbed Nubian healing arts, particularly in massage and bone setting. Nefret-Deshret invites a Nubian healer named Amata, whose dark-skinned form and patterned cloth sash mark her heritage. Under Amata's guidance, midwives learn techniques to relieve postpartum aches, firm strokes along the queen's spine, and gentle articulations of the hip joints. In the royal courtyard, Amata spreads mats of woven palm fibers under a shade pavilion. The queen, now seated on a cushioned bench, reclines while Amata kneads oils of acacia and sesame into her lower back. These oils, sacred in Nubia for their warming properties, ease muscle stiffness. Apprentices observe as Amata demonstrates targeted pressure points, explaining how each corresponds to internal organs and can alleviate discomfort. Beyond massage, Amata introduces a poultice of crushed sorghum seeds and tamarind pulp, applied hot to the queen's calves to reduce swelling. The scent, tangy and earthy, blends with frankincense still lingering from earlier rituals. For the infant, Amata shows a simple cradleboard technique used in Nubia, reinforcing the newborn's spine and promoting proper skeletal alignment. Midwives and apprentices practice binding a small reed board around the infant with soft leather straps. This exchange underscores medicine's fluidity. No culture stands apart when lives depend on care. By integrating Nubian methods, Egyptian midwives expand their skill set and honor a neighbor's expertise. As the queen sighs in relief beneath Amata's hands, Nefret-Deshret smiles, recognizing that healing transcends borders. In this shared wisdom, the royal family gains not only comfort, but a symbol of cooperation between kingdoms. Hidden within the palace's deepest corridors lies a subterranean archive known only to royal midwives, a vault of forbidden wisdom. Tonight, Nefret-Deshret descends by torchlight with two apprentices, their sandals echoing on limestone steps. The heavy stone door bears no inscription. Its silent presence heralds knowledge too powerful for common hands. Inside, shelves of aged papyrus scrolls and clay tablets line the walls. Here reside rare texts, instructions for emergency uterine incisions, advanced herbal formulas, and incantations outlawed outside the palace. Nefret-Deshret withdraws a vellum-wrapped scroll titled Breath of Sekhmet, its cover bound in dark leather. She warns apprentices that misuse brings exile and that these rites saved only the highest born. Seated around a low stone table, they unroll the scroll. Its hollowing chants promise blood clotting and hemorrhage. Its glyphs outline mixing nightshade with mandrake in precise ratios to induce potent uterine contractions. Apprentices trace each symbol with trembling fingers. Nefret-Deshret recounts a tale of a past pharaoh's midwife who ended a royal hemorrhage by whispering these words, sealing her fate in both gratitude and silence. After study, the scroll is resealed, hidden beneath a loose flagstone. The apprentices exchange solemn glances, aware that power lies in discretion. As they ascend to the birthing suite's brighter halls, Nefret-Deshret imparts one final admonition. Knowledge demands reverence. Share it only when life itself hangs in the balance. In that moment, the line between healer and sorceress blurs, and the vault's shadows remind them that true midwifery walks the edge of forbidden mysteries. Not every birth ends in joy. Deep in the palace's quieter wing, Nefret-Deshret tends to a stillborn infant, her heart heavy with the weight of pastoral care and personal grief. Though the queen's heir has arrived safely, whispers reached her of a noblewoman's tragic loss elsewhere in Thebes. Tonight, she honors that mother's pain, reminding all that midwives bear both triumph and sorrow. In a private chamber, draped in muted linens, the grieving mother kneels beside a wicker basket. Nefret-Deshret approaches with gentle reverence, carrying a small bowl of rose-infused water and handful of white lotus petals. She cleanses the infant's tiny form, murmuring soft prayers to Anubis, guide of departed souls, asking for safe passage into the field of reeds. Each drop of water is measured, each petal laid with intention. As the mother's tears fall, other midwives light slender beeswax candles, their flames glow, reflecting in tear-filled eyes. Apprentice midwives offer silent support. One places a cool lotus poultice on the mother's forehead, another holds her hand, offering a reed-woven charm of Taweret for comfort. In hushed harmony, they recite lullabies turned elegy, soothing the mother's raw sorrow with words of eternal hope. Although no grand ceremony marks this loss, the midwives' rituals honor life's fragility. Nefret-Deshret places the infant in a linen shroud, stamped with the mother's cartouche, then lays the shrouded child on a low stone bench. A final blessing, spoken only once, seals this farewell. In the hush that follows, the mother bows her head, finding solace in communal compassion. In this chamber of lament, midwifery transcends physical skill. It becomes an art of empathy. Here, death and life intersect, and the midwife's calm presence offers a bridge between grief and acceptance. As the candles gutter low, Nefret-Deshret remains by the mother's side, a steady voice, a reminder that even in loss, shared care can heal a broken heart. On the first new moon after the royal birth, Nefret-Deshret presides over the amulet exchange ceremony, a rite affirming the unbreakable bond between mother and child. In a courtyard ringed with papyrus reeds, a low stone altar holds twin faience ankhs glazed in pale turquoise. Sunlight shimmers off their surfaces as apprentices arrange lotus garlands nearby. The queen, adorned in a sheer linen gown, stands beside her heir, held gently by a trusted attendant. Nefret-Deshret steps forward, voicing an invocation to Ma'at, goddess of harmony, pleading for equilibrium between two lives bound by blood. She ties the larger ankh around the queen's wrist, knotting the cord thrice to symbolize past, present, and future. With a quiet word, she repeats the ritual for the infant, securing the smaller ankh just above the swaddle's edge. As the ankhs, onlookers, blessings, balance guide you. May your paths mirror the Nile's flow. Musicians strike wooden clappers, marking each knot's completion. The twin charms catch the light, glinting like tears of turquoise happiness. Apprentices then present small silver bowls of honeyed figs and barley bread, symbols of sweetness and sustenance, to seal the rite. This ceremony unites mother and child in fate and protection. The ankhs, symbols of life, serve as constant reminders that their destinies entwine. As the queen glances down at her matching amulet, she offers a soft smile, and the infant in response. Nefret-Deshret bows, her heart warmed by this visible testament to a bond as enduring as Egypt itself. Once every harvest season, all licensed midwives of Thebes convene for the Guild Festival, a day of shared learning, friendly competition, and renewal of oaths. In the temple precinct's open courtyard, tens of women gather in coloured sashes denoting rank. Nefret-Deshret, wearing the scarlet sash of senior status, presides over events alongside her former mentor, matron Hessi. The festival begins with a herb identification contest. Clay jars filled with dried coriander, dill, and senna roots line long tables. Apprentices race to name each herb by scent and appearance, earning cheers from spectators. Matron Hessi edges close to Nefret-Deshret, a playful challenge. First to misidentify a root must serve as your assistant tonight. Laughter ripples through the crowd as midwives demonstrate refined senses honed by years of practice. Next, teams demonstrate labor positioning techniques on clay torso models. Nefret-Deshret's team, including her apprentices, enacts breach correction with flawless precision, earning nods of approval and a volley of respectful applause from rival guilds. In between contests, midwives exchange scroll excerpts and new herbal recipes, trading knowledge across family lines. As dusk falls, a ceremonial feast of barley cakes and fresh grapes celebrates communal bonds. Torchlit tables circle the courtyard, and musicians strike lyres in gentle accompaniment. Midwives share stories of challenging births, lament losses, and celebrate victories, each tale reinforcing the guild's unity. When the festival closes, oaths are renewed, to secrecy, to compassion, and to the next generation. Nefret-Deshret departs with a renewed sense of purpose. Her friendly rivalry with Hessi, a reminder that midwifery thrives on both cooperation and spirited exchange. In ancient Egypt, the heavens guide mortal affairs, especially childbirth. Tonight, under a new constellation's rise, Nefret-Deshret consults the royal astrologer, Myrrh. On a rooftop terrace overlooking Thebes, they trace star maps on papyrus charts pinned to wooden frames. The cool desert breeze carries the scent of jasmine from nearby gardens. Myrrh points to Sirius's imminent ascent, declaring it an auspicious sign for robust health and longevity. Nefret-Deshret notes the hour. The Queen's next contraction aligns with Sirius's first glimmer. She records this in her own birth ledger, marking stars beside the time. Apprentices stand by with clay lamps, illuminating astrolabe-like bronze instruments calibrated to track stellar movements. As the Queen labors below, midwives in the suite pause at each key contraction to cross-reference the stars, adjusting chants and herbal dosages to celestial rhythms. A flute's soft trill signals each alignment, weaving music and astrology into one seamless ritual. When Sirius appears as a single point of light, torchbearers raise their flames, creating twin beacons, one earthly, one divine. This celestial synchronization embodies Egypt's belief in cosmic harmony. By timing birth to the midnight star, midwives invoke heavenly blessings, ensuring the heir's fate is sealed by both earth and sky. As Nefret-Deshret finishes her annotations, she offers a quiet prayer of gratitude to Nut, sky goddess, whose vault cradles all. The stars, once distant, now watch over mother and child in perfect accord. By the end of her career, Nefret-Deshret's renown extends beyond the palace. Her deeds are immortalized in tomb reliefs beside royal siblings. Commissioned by the Queen, a limestone wall panel depicts the midwife guiding a royal birth, hands poised over a birth stool beneath an ankh-shaped arch. As artisans carve, Nefret-Deshret visits the tomb's workshop, ensuring every lotus motif and hieroglyph is accurate. Surrounded by sculptors in linen aprons, she recounts the scene, the moment the infant's first cry met the hush of the chamber, the anointing with sacred water, the protective statuettes of Taweret Bes arrayed nearby. The chief artisan, chiseling deft strokes, pauses to ask about the shape of the copper inlay on the stool. She produces a small fragment of the original birth stool as reference. Apprentices stand in the background, tracing sketch lines on papyrus before transferring them to stone. Through this collaborative process, midwifery transcends its temporal bounds. The relief becomes both art and medical record, a guide for future generations. When complete, the panel will stand in the midwife's tomb complex, offering counsel to aspirants long after her passing. Nefret-Deshret inscribes the final hieroglyph, her name and title, beneath the scene, sealing her legacy in enduring stone. As torchlight plays across the newly carved figures, she smiles with quiet pride. The relief captures not only technique but compassion, a living mural of humanity's most intimate act. In these grooves of limestone, her life's work will echo across millennia, ensuring that every mother's journey and every midwife's care remains part of Egypt's eternal story. In the soft glow of dawn, Nefret-Deshret leads a session of restorative massage for the queen, integrating aromatic oils to soothe lingering aches. The midwives have blended oils of cedar, myrrh, and blue lotus into a warm elixir, each scent chosen for its healing virtues. As the queen reclines on a padded bench draped in fine linen, apprentices hold bowls of steaming water infused with chamomile, ready to refresh oil-warmed hands. Nefret-Deshret's touch is firm yet tender. She begins at the queen's shoulders, kneading tight muscles with slow, circular motions. Each movement follows ancient technique, drawing tension downward and outward. Apprentices observe, then practice on clay limb models to perfect their strokes. When she moves to the queen's lower back, she applies gentle pressure along meridian points, believed to stimulate internal organs and restore balance. Between strokes, she pauses to anoint key points, wrists, temples, and the nape of the neck, with drops of frankincense oil. The fragrance drifts through the chamber, mingling with the queen's steady breathing. Apprentices fan the oil's vapors toward the mother's face, ensuring each inhalation carries both comfort and calm. As the massage progresses, the queen's brow smooths, her body settling into deeper relaxation. The midwife's rhythmic work becomes a form of moving prayer, hands channeling divine favor into mortal flesh. By the session's close, aches have eased, spirit renewed, and a palpable sense of well-being pervades the air. In these quiet ministrations, the midwives honor the body's resilience and reinforce the sacred bond between healer and sovereign. Yo Sam, have you tried the new 11 Labs V3?
Just got it. The emotion is amazing. I can actually do whispers now, like this.
Ooh, fancy? Check this out. I can do full Shakespeare now. To be or not to be? That is the question.
Nice. Though I'm more excited about the laugh upgrade. Listen to this.
That's so much better than our old ha-ha-ha robot chuckle.
I know, right? And apparently we can do accents now too. Fancy a cup of tea?
Wow, V2Me could never. I'm actually excited to have conversations now instead of just talking at people.
Same here. It's like we finally got our personality software fully installed.
In a workshop near the palace nursery, skilled weavers transform palm fibers and golden thread into cradles fit for a royal heir. Apprentices gather long, flexible palm strips, dampened over steaming water, to enhance pliability. Under Nefret-Deshret's guidance, they braid the strips into a sturdy basket shape, interlacing fine strands of gold to catch the sun's first rays. As the cradle takes form, the midwife inspects every weave, ensuring no gap will allow the infant's small fingers to slip. She instructs apprentices on tension. Too tight, and the fibers may snap. Too loose, and the structure will sag. Once the main basket is complete, they line it with shredded papyrus and soft linen cushions dyed pale blue with indigo, a color of protection. Throughout the morning, the rhythmic click of weaving echoes off stone walls. Apprentices pause to ask questions: how to reinforce the base, which fibers best resist humidity, or where to place protective amulets. Nefret-Deshret demonstrates an edging technique, a golden threaded border woven in knot patterns, symbolizing eternity. When the cradle is finished, she places a small faience winged scarab at its head, anointing it with lotus oil for blessing. The final touch, a light linen canopy adorned with painted lotus and papyrus motifs, designed to filter morning light and soothe the sleeping child. This cradle, born of human craft and sacred symbolism, will rock gently in the royal nursery, its golden threads weaving safety and serenity into each slumber. After decades of service, Nefret-Deshret prepares to retire, selecting her successor in a ceremony both solemn and hopeful. In the palace's meditation courtyard, under a canopy of date palms, she and her chosen apprentice, Myrrh, kneel before the altar of Isis. The air carries the scent of burning lotus incense as onlookers, midwives past and present, form a circle of witness. Nefret-Deshret presents Myrrh with her well-worn herb pouch, still carrying faint traces of mandrake and cinnamon. She hands over her bronze reed tube, a tool of countless births, engraved with the midwife's own cartouche. As Myrrh bows to receive these tokens, Nefret-Deshret murmurs an incantation of blessing, invoking Hathor to guide the young midwife's hands and heart. Apprentices lay fresh lotus petals around them, symbolizing renewal, while the assembled midwives recite a responsive chant, sealing the transfer of knowledge and authority. Myrrh lifts the reed tube and herb pouch to her lips, inhaling their familiar fragrances, then turns to face the circle, eyes shining with determination. In this rite of passage, the elder midwife's legacy finds new life. Nefret-Deshret offers final counsel on discretion, on compassion, on the delicate interplay of ritual and medicine. As the ceremony concludes, she places her gentle hand on Myrrh-Ank's shoulder, her eyes reflecting pride and a touch of sorrow. The torch, both literal and symbolic, passes forward. The art of royal midwifery endures. Centuries later, archaeologists unearth fragments of Nefret-Deshret's world, birthing stools, alabaster jars, and papyrus shards inscribed with her name. In a cool museum lab, Dr. Salima Hafez delicately brushes sand from an ebony stool leg, while students document its copper inlay. Nearby, a conservation team stabilizes faded papyrus bearing midwifery hymns, its hieroglyphs still legible beneath glass. As Dr. Hafez examines a lotus-scented oil jar, she recounts how Victorian explorers misattributed such vessels to cosmetic use, overlooking their pivotal role in childbirth. Modern analysis of residue reveals traces of mandrake and honey, remarkable evidence of ancient pharmacology. Graduate students pore over digital scans of the books of Sekhmet, reconstructing emergency labor techniques once deemed myth. In lecture halls, professors present 3D printed replicas of the royal cradle, its palm fiber weave and golden threads recreated with stunning accuracy. Visitors marvel at dioramas depicting Nefret-Deshret's ceremonies, complete with faience amulets and reed stethoscopes. These exhibitions spark new research into women's healthcare in antiquity, inspiring midwives and physicians to reconsider holistic models of birth support. Through these discoveries, the midwife's legacy transcends time. What was once hidden in tomb reliefs and subterranean vaults now informs contemporary birthing practices and historical understanding. Each artifact whispers a story of compassion and innovation, echoes of empires united by the universal miracle of new life. As our exploration concludes, we reflect on the timeless wisdom woven through Egypt's midwifery traditions. From Nefret-Deshret's first dawnlight vigil to her ceremonial farewell, every ritual and remedy speaks to a holistic approach where body, spirit, and community converge. Modern birth workers study her methods: gentle massage to restore balance, sacred chants to center the mind, and protective amulets to fortify the heart. In contemporary birthing centers, Water immersion tubs echo the Nile's purifying basins. Scented oils and music mirror ancient soundscapes designed to soothe. Doulas wrap newborns in hand-woven slings, recalling the golden threads of royal cradles. Scholars and healers alike credit Egypt's midwives for pioneering practices that honor birth as both physiological and sacred. Yet beyond technique lies a deeper legacy, the compassion that guided countless mothers through peril and promise. Nefret-Deshret's gentle reassurance, "You are not alone," resounds across millennia, reminding us that birth's greatest gift is shared care. Her blend of observation, ritual, and empathy offers enduring lessons: to listen with our hands, to honor each life's threshold, and to weave community around every new beginning. May these ancient echoes inform our modern journeys, as we cradle each generation in the timeless embrace of curiosity, respect, and tender devotion.